Hello. Today we are connecting with Donalee Gastreich, a transformational leadership coach, a best-selling author, and a founder of Complete Solutions. In this video, we're going to explore the services and products that Donalee offers through the newer store and how they support people in their personal and transformational journeys. So before we dive into your individual offerings, Donalee, can you share with us your overall intention behind what you offer in the newer store?
Yes, my intention is to guide the leaders who are really purpose driven and ready to advance to new levels, to guide them in mastering their most vital instrument, their own energy and presence. So, my intention goes to moving leadership from a model of exertion to one of precision, from reactive turbulence and chaos to calm clarity. And from that short-term force to sustainable, coherent impact. And summing it up, I basically support leaders in cultivating their own unique leadership style, rooted in their authenticity, truth, transparency, integrity, which naturally will elevate their teams. It'll foster conscious engagement, and it'll build resilient organizations where talent thrives and tenure is sustained. So ultimately, I think my intention is to equip leaders to achieve their energetic coherence, this internal alignment that creates flow, inspires empowerment, and becomes a catalyst for regenerative growth in every system they lead.
It's beautiful. What do you know? We were talking about before we get on the call the importance of people being able to learn to transition from their mind from mind centered to heart centered, and it
Mm,
sounds like what you describe as far as leadership is that it becomes those that are able to lead from their hearts. Is that accurate?
absolutely. When we come into awareness of our energy, it changes everything. HeartMath Institute has done so much research that the heart receives the energetic awareness before the mind, before the brain actually registers it through seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
They've done so many studies. So the energy that we receive from the heart, first of all, is 10 times as powerful as anything that we would be bringing forth from our brain.
Mm.
But the heart actually acts as a portal, a pathway to more. And I hate to give it away in conversation too much because it really is a personal experience of spending time in that heart energy to experience all that it brings forth. And it sort of feels like awareness itself that changes as we tune into it. The heart intelligence is exactly the same. We get what
Mm.
we're ready to bring in. And at first, um, it definitely is a feeling of completeness, wholeness in your body where you're just flooded with that energetic feeling internally of love, like coursing
Mm.
through your body, through your bones, through your skin, through every pathway within. And once we feel that internally, that's what radiates out from us as well. But the beauty of the heart intelligence is once it activates, the mind takes like the second role
Mm.
and really quiets itself. Like the mental looping and overactivity of the mind begins to quiet and take a second seat and really honors the heart intelligence to be its most powerful ally.
Mm. So I know I don't want to jump ahead, but I do just want to refer to the title of your book, which is
Mm.
Bringing Spirituality into Business. I mean, is this
Yes.
Is this what you believe is needed at this time? Is to bring these
Yeah.
spiritual principles into the work environment?
Actually, the book was written for business, but I take that title even broader, that we're bringing spirituality into the business of everything in our life.
Mm,
It doesn't
nice.
have a place to be separated. Like it's to be brought into our business of life, relationships, food, self-care, nurturing, love, connection, community. It doesn't have just one place where it gets to reside. It's being brought into all aspects of life.
That's beautiful. However, I would think that the business world tends to be the leader as far as integrating
Yes.
mainstream new ideas. So it to me it seems that it makes a lot of sense to start with the business world and let it feed out from there. Is that something that you would agree with, or?
Yes. That is my internal guidance that first of all, we have a dysfunctional world as far as helping humanity maintain mental fortitude.
Mm,
We're weak in that area. And therefore, some may say that we have a mental pandemic underway. COVID
mm,
accelerated it. It's now in the minds and hearts of children in the school programs, but they're bringing social emotional learning online for
mm.
pre-K through 12. So
Wow.
as these children start to learn their social emotional skill sets and become more aware of the somatics in their body, I feel this, but I'm not this. It's just an energy that I'm feeling right now. We're going to educate the children, but until we send them home to educated parents, we still have a
Mm,
dysfunctional society. So how
mm,
do we educate the parents and the adult community? It must be through the employers. They have the largest vested interest. They're already giving them a paycheck, providing them time off, investing in their health, their well-being. They have to invest because it's in their best interest and the best interest of society.
mm. That's
So,
wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's great. Let's talk about some of your services. I mean,
All right.
when we look at the services that you provide, who are they for, and what kind of transformation does it support?
That's a great question, and one that we will all be looking at and questioning when we choose who we're going to work with and the circles and communities that we're part of. But first and foremost, these energies that we're moving into and through are calling us home to community, to find
Mm,
our right tribe, to connect with larger groups. And part of that is to support our growth because there's no owner's manual for any of us, right? We're relying on those who've pioneered a pathway to show us what they've seen, right?
mm, yes.
And and I realize that I'm really here for those who have already moved from a consciousness of to me. If you still think life's happening to you and
Mm,
you're struggling in that framework, I'm not your guide, but there
mm,
are many who are. I guide those who already know that life's happening for you and that
mm,
this challenge is for you to grow, right? You're going to move through it with ease and grace and be elevated in all of
mm,
this. But even more so than that, leaders from that level start to advance more quickly into this living life force energy that we access is living through me and then eventually as me. So I feel like there's four levels of consciousness that we talk about in 3D.
okay. All right.
And those are the four levels: to me, for me, through me, and as me.
Mm.
And it is really a broader awareness to the bigger picture. And
Well,
that
it's
is,
fascinating that you're describing it the way that you are, because that's exactly what I experienced, is that
mm,
I was going through a period of constant struggle, and I was definitely a victim of circumstances, thinking that life was happening against me, that it was fighting against me. And it wasn't until my perspective actually changed and expanded to realize that I'm not a victim and rather I'm a student. I'm a student of life. And being a student of life, I'm able to observe what's going on. And through that observership, I have greater awareness and I realize that that life is happening for me. I'm here to learn and grow and expand my soul. And so
Mm.
that was really a major shift in my personal life was when I went from a victim to a student. And it sounds like what you're describing seems to
Mhm.
align with what I experienced myself.
Absolutely. So my book was really for the beginner because in the workplace,
Okay.
they're they're still thinking life's happening to them.
Mm,
So my book is a journey to um, know yourself, grow yourself, and live life empowered through
mm,
that knowledge and awareness and incorporating. I have a simple three-step formula that I call the
okay.
ABCs to mastery. And it's introduced in my book and it's brought into everything I do. But the ABCs are awareness, being, and curiosity.
Mm,
And we're here to be aware, not
mm,
of everything outside of us and other people, so much as our inner state, our alignment, our integrity, are my thoughts and my words and my motive and my agenda here in
mm,
alignment? Am I in
mhm,
integrity or am I out of balance? And then when you get to being, I bring in that we don't just have a mental intelligence, but most people think that we do, just operate out of their mental intelligence. But until you can bring all of you to the party, to this present moment, you aren't whole and complete. And your emotional intelligence is part of that. Your physical body's intelligence is part of that. And your spiritual intelligence is part of that.
Is
So
it fair to
that's
say?
being. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I thought you were finished. Um, is it fair to say what you're describing is really the difference between somebody living a 3D existence versus a
Mm.
5D existence?
I think 5D takes us even further than this. It collapses the intelligence systems into a field of
Okay.
coherence that we don't even we don't even mentally go there to think about, did I bring my emotional intelligence with me? We operate from a field, and our aim then is coherence in the field. Because when we're in a field of coherence, we quickly notice the dissonance, and we don't have to then go back to 3D and do the heavy lifting to find out what our thoughts are about it. We can invite the field to bring that energy into coherence.
Would you mind defining coherence?
Mm. Coherence is there's an energy that's coursing through our bodies.
Okay.
If I'm thinking I'm going to eat healthy foods, but I ingest a ton of processed food at my next meal, I've created coherence in my field because my intention for my temple, my being, was clean, healthy, nutrient dense food. So oftentimes we bring our own coherence in when we're out of alignment with our beliefs, our actions, and what we do. So right there,
Mm,
we had a belief that I eat healthy, but when you don't eat healthy, right, and you normally feel it in your body, it might show up as a heavy weightedness or a bloating, right? Or maybe it doesn't set well and you need to use the bathroom, right? So we notice that incoherence, and our main aim is to start to notice coherence. So I feel like fourth dimension is learning this coherent field and
okay.
being in a better alignment with it. And the more we can create coherence internally, it's felt by others. Then when we come
Beautiful.
together with other coherent individuals, we create a collective. You and I, right now, have a collective coherent consciousness
Mm,
that is a field around us that we both now have access to. All of
mm,
my wisdom is in that field. All of my knowledge, my knowing is in the field. All of yours is in the field. And we can better relate and connect and communicate so that we're clearly seeing the effects of the fifth dimensional awareness. And it really is a field of unity where we're all
mm,
coming together as one. In that field, we'll be spotting and recognizing the gifts, the contributions, the talents of one another.
mm,
But we will always have to notice it in ourselves before we'll be able to notice it in others.
mm. So from a leadership standpoint, it begins with the leader. Is that accurate to say?
Absolutely, it begins with the leader. Yep. And
I
and those individuals are a lot um, in their heads, in their intellect. They function from their intellect. And there's a real merging, creating that oneness and harmony in our bodies first, in our I want to say our energy auras, right? Because your physical body is just part of that equation. There's a mental body, emotional body, spiritual
mhm,
body, right? Like they all have unique names, but they're all cohering in the field. That's our aura. And it starts inside us. That when we speak lovingly, our cells are listening. When we speak hatred, our cells are listening.
mhm,
And we're going to really be seeing the effects of this more quickly. Right now, you have to be really stressed out for a long time for the body to take on disease. But as karma speeds up and becomes more instantaneous, even disease will become more instantaneous, discomfort in
mm,
the body. But I also see it just the opposite, that these coherent fields have such magnetic empowerment that bring us in to recognizing our strengths just from being around those people. We start to notice when we come into an organization of coherent leadership, it's less stressful. The stress we once felt just doesn't seem to be as strong. We start to notice we're getting more productive in our work. We're
mm,
finishing before quitting time. We're not stressed and taking that stress home with us. Everything in the work environment starts to shift when leaders start to bring coherence into the organization.
I remember I mentioned before we got on the call that I used to be a partner with the Gallup poll, and at Gallup we would study the psychology of cultures throughout different companies, and it was just fascinating to me to learn that the tonality of the entire culture was really a reflection of the tonality of leadership, and it was very important to be able to create any form of transformational change within an organization. It was imperative that the leadership team was completely on board because our initiatives would be both a top-down approach and a bottom-up approach. So it was top-down, communicating the intentions and all the characteristics of the tonality of that was being established. And then it was also bottom up because it empowered people on the front lines to take responsibility for themselves and really begin to want to change in productive ways, not only change themselves, but then contribute in a more productive way to make the overall organization more productive. So I just wanted to acknowledge what you're saying because I experienced that firsthand when I was at Gallup.
And I do think most business leaders rely on Gallup or Vistage for support, for guidance,
Mm,
for
mm,
um, valid trends that they're seeing. Um, and I'm not sure that Gallup and Vistage are catching on to this next trend. And it really is
Yeah.
personal, personal, professional, and planetary growth. Like, there's no denying it. We're tapping into more of our inner resources. The great thing about it, nothing's outside you. You don't need to go get a new degree. You just need to get still and get quiet and invited in.
Mm,
And we
that's
all are
wonderful.
evolving. Yeah, it really is. It really is. I can be really honest and say I've never been more excited to be alive on this planet and part of this huge party that we're all invited to. And don't get me
Mm,
wrong, it has some spots that still turn my stomach and have me shaking my head at how far we've come as a society, and is this
mhm,
really the representation of what we see? But in seeing it, if you are able to zoom out and see the bigger picture, it's coming to the surface because it's not what we want.
mm,
And we're having to see it to get clear internally on what we will and won't align with for our future.
mm. Yeah, it makes
So,
complete sense.
yeah,
So you mentioned Vistage and Gallup, and I can definitely speak to Gallup, and I think you can speak to Vistage. Is that yes, you are correct that what they teach leaders about is limiting because it's
yeah,
really most of it is really focused on a mindset centered approach. And I believe what differentiates you and your work is that you're really looking at it from a heart centered approach, where it's like the biggest journey that we need to take is from our mind into our heart. And it sounds like based on the offerings that you provide, you're able to help leaders who are ready to be able to fully immerse themselves into their heart energy and bring that heart coherence into their organization.
absolutely. 100%. Energetic intelligence is the ability to sense the unseen signals in people and your environment.
Mm,
It's also the ability to feel coherence and incoherence before they even become visible. Like, this
mm,
is the power of the heart, right? Like, it doesn't have to be visible for you to sense the incoherence. But it also gives us the ability to read the emotional undercurrents in your team, in a meeting, and in
mm,
decisions. It helps us align our thoughts, emotions, and actions so they are in coherence. And as we're awakening on our planet, it's going to be conducive to leaders to up level before their organization senses their incoherence because they'll lose all trust. They'll lose, it's like their words will fall on deaf ears
mm.
because the people won't trust them because their field is incoherent. We're already sensing it with today's leaders at a government level. When they speak, we realize they didn't give the whole truth, that they're speaking out of side of their mouth, not their whole body, right? And
Yes,
it's as if our
yes.
truth meter, our inner truth meter, is getting strengthened within us as we're evolving. So as that truth meter develops and we start to trust ourselves more, we realize that leaders out of coherence and can I trust them? Right. So I part of me doesn't see an option for leaders that they're going to have to um, activate their masculine, feminine parts equally, that they're going to have to open their heart intelligence to really access the field. And
Mhm.
that's not done from our intellect, right? This is calling us to be fully embodied, right? Sensing, feeling, knowing. Everything is amplified. You'll get knowledge and wisdom come forth that you would never have access to without that coherence.
It's interesting. I was raised to And I think many people were, that we were raised to really think our way through situations and not feel our way through. Like, in other words, I was discouraged from utilizing my intuition, and rather I had to think through things. So do you think it's fair to say that when people are tapping into their heart coherence, that they're actually tapping into their intuition?
Yes. Yes. It's let's get clear. Our intuition doesn't come with a form.
Okay.
It comes through the invisible. But yet it's our strongest inner guidance system. And we're either listening and paying attention to it or we're just missing it.
Mm,
It shows up when you get that little nudge when you're driving on the road and it says, call mom, or
mm,
right, reach out to so and so. And then you go on and tell a story. Oh, no, now's not a good time. They're probably at work and busy. And right, like you tell a story, I'll call later. No,
mm,
the nudge was to call now.
mm.
And until we start listening to those nudges and acting on them in the moment, we don't strengthen that relationship. When we break life down, we break it down to one thing. Everything is determined by how you choose right now to relate in this now moment. Am I open and
Amen.
receptive? Am I
Yep.
closed off and defensive? Do I know the answer already before you finish talking? Right? Like, am I so opinionated I can't hear you clearly?
Mm,
Right? How are we
sure.
choosing to relate? And where we're headed, there's a joining, there's a merging, a uniting with others, an acceptance. We want to hear from them, right? They're included, an inclusivity that we bring them in to our awareness, to our field, and share in that experience. In today's world, we generally meet people just a little guarded, a little prepared for what might come, right? Like we can feel that tension in our body when it's happening. And our aim is to catch ourselves when we're not fully present and open to engage in this now moment, because your experience of this now moment is determined by how you choose to relate to it.
So transformation is a choice. Is that what I'm hearing?
Beautiful. It is free will. You gotta
Free
love the free
will.
will. You've gotta
Yeah.
really realize how much free will you have, and where we're exercising free will to sabotage ourselves. Where am I
Mm,
stuck in patterns I need to be open to seeing new ways? Because let's be clear, I'm changing, you're changing, we're all changing through
absolutely.
this out. And how we do things or did things in the past may not be the best way now.
Mm.
So we're going to have to be open and receptive and curious to what our best path is. And our inner guidance system will direct us. But you have to create the relationship with it. And how strong is that relationship?
So what do you think is, let's say, the number one thing that needs to happen in the corporate world right now in order for organizations to embody this type of work?
I think it's having more conversations on a platform that they utilize. It'd be great if we could get the platform and this message out to Vistage and Gallup, because a lot of businesses follow them. But
Yes.
LinkedIn would be my third choice as to, where to start getting the conversations out there. We have to normalize the conversation.
Mm,
We have to start talking about our growth. We have to make it normal to speak about it, right? More normal than talking about the weather. And we're not there yet. I'm normalizing it in my conversations, but I'm gonna be real honest. My kids came in town for the holidays, and my son says, "You got a lot of reminders going off on your phone." And I realized, oh, yep, I hear them, and they're about all my notifications to center myself, to come back home, to
mm,
make
mm,
certain that my heart intelligence is activated and I'm grounded and relaxed in my body, that I'm not tense in this moment, right? Like they were my messages to check in with myself. And that was a prime opportunity to share this with my son. And I didn't.
You did
I
not.
did. I did not. So if I was really normalizing it, I would have totally shared with him that
Mhm.
yes, I don't have any notifications for emails or Facebook or any social media or anything on my phone. I have two notifications allowed. The ones I set to remind me to check in, right? And they're at weird times.
Nice.
One's at 11:11, one's at 1:11, right, in the
Mm,
afternoon, and then there's one at
sure.
9 o'clock, and there's one at 3 o'clock, right? So I'm checking in every couple hours with myself
That's
to
beautiful.
come into coherence, to make sure I haven't steered too far from my center, right?
Mm,
And if I truly normalized that, I would have totally shared with my son and said, "Center with me, join me," right? Like, this is just a moment to come together, clear our thoughts, come back home to our energy. Maybe it's 3, 4, 5 deep breaths. Maybe it's 3 minutes of stillness, but I didn't do that. So, but we're all in practice mode, right? Like, I recognized it after the fact. And
sure.
then come Christmas, I did share. But
That's
Thanksgiving, I
beautiful.
had to catch myself in not normalizing it with my kids and my family. And
Well,
yeah,
I mean, I just want to commend you because it all begins with awareness. So for you
yes,
just to be awareness that you didn't do it, I mean, that in and of itself is still a positive direction because at least you're considering it. It's in, it's
yes.
something that is it's in your field of operation where it's like many people are just living in a very asleep mode where they don't even realize what's going on and they just accept things as they are, not realizing that we do have the power to choose and create new things, new ways of life that we want to live versus succumbing to all the chaos that is being imposed upon us by others. So it's
I
really
f-
nice what you're doing.
Thank you. And yeah, I've learned not to beat myself up over it. And the awareness comes because now I'm ready to shift it, right?
Mm,
And it gave
mm-hmm,
me an opportunity. I feel like we're in a stage across the globe of preparedness. And it's a preparedness internally for the changes coming on board for all of us. They're here. We're in the midst of them, right? Are we just complaining about how we feel? Or are we realizing that some of this could be things we need to slow down and integrate and give time and quiet and peace and encouragement to bring on board for us. But awareness itself, when you see it, when you spot it, it's already made changes in your field.
that's
That first,
wonderful.
yeah, right? You notice that though, when,
Sure.
yeah, as awareness keeps expanding, it's going to be beautiful. I feel like coherence is what leadership's learned in 3D and we called integrity.
Mm,
But coherence is it at an energetic level and includes what's outside of us, meaning coherence in that field is other people as well. And it brings what we have to others. It unites us at a whole new level. So I've been
so
playing
you
in my playground. Last year
yeah.
was my year to play in my playground, and my guides were taking me into what this looks like. And everything I realized, everything I see and noticed in my field was for me to grow me. And I had to keep going deeper. What do I do with this? Well, I was guided to read a book, and it was listening to a mystic, Cheryl Page, and her journey was all about connecting with her partner who'd passed. And she wanted to not lose that relationship they had, even though they no longer exist on Earth.
Mm,
So she found a medium to help her connect at that level. And in her work and in her sharing, she said he guided her, her partner guided her to reading a book. And that he said the book's really hard to read, and my guide said, "Oh, you're gonna read that book too, but you're gonna bring in the author and Nikola Tesla in your
Mm.
consciousness, in your field, so that when you read that book, they equip you with their consciousness for
Mm.
better understanding in that book." And I
Wow.
know that sounds really far-fetched, but this is the playground I was invited to play in all last year, was
Wow.
inviting other consciousnesses into my field of consciousness that naturally elevate me in understanding, receptivity. The book was not a hard read, it was easy. But with the author and Nikola Tesla beside me, of course it would be easy, right?
So how were you able to pull that consciousness into your field?
Just invite it in. You can
Simply
almost
invited
feel
in.
it. You
Okay.
can, and here's the thing. I in the beginning I would struggle to feel the energy. And my guide said, invite the energy to come closer. Come closer. Let me feel
Mm.
you. You feel it.
Mm.
You feel it. When you're ready, you'll feel it.
It's
And
wonderful.
it's a beautiful experience. And if you think about it, the telepathy tapes are all about connecting with one another and in a field. So I find that mental telepathy, we don't have to be present with the other to connect with their thoughts or wisdom, right? We can do it across time and space. And what we realize with the field is the field's everywhere.
So is
There's
what
a
you're describing when you say mental telepathy and our intuition and tapping into our heart coherence? I mean, are these all characteristics of living in a 5D world versus a 3D world?
Yes. They're all representations of what it looks like as we continually elevate our consciousness. We have, as consciousness expands, we know more, we see more, we realize more that was there before, but from our level of awareness, we couldn't see it.
Mm.
Robert Edward Grant took a group of people to the pyramids, and in the King's Chamber, they noticed at the beginning of 2025 etchings on the wall that had never been seen before. Like, this is
Wow.
how collectively our consciousness is expanding.
Mm.
Mm, mm, good stuff.
It is good stuff. So when I'm hearing you talk about this, I'm assuming that at least part of what this discussion is based on is the contents of bringing spirituality into the business world. Is that accurate?
Yes, but spirituality starts within each one of us, and it's realizing that we're here to grow. We're here to evolve. This isn't a journey of getting complacent or comfy in one little area, right? But we do that. It's human. Like, especially after we've been on a long growth journey, we want to integrate and we get comfortable, and sometimes we stay there too long. So, in the business world, I see spirituality as continual growth at the personal level, but coming from not me, but we. So there's a broader perception of our purpose. It isn't individualized. You know, in my winner's circle, the biggest rule I have is that what you've learned today, what you've modeled today, you have to share within 48 hours. That
Mm.
share could be your CFO or someone on the team. It could be a board member. It could be your wife, your partner. It doesn't matter where you share it, but what our aim is to collectively share what we attain, not hold it for ourselves. So we're creating the ripples that go out. through the organization that we raise everyone in this experience, not just the leadership team.
So the winner circle, that's one of the services that you have to be able to provide to business leaders. Describe what the winner circle is all about. Like what do you do, and when do you meet? And I'm just curious to get
Yeah.
a deeper understanding.
Yep. It meets twice a month for 90 minutes each time.
Okay.
And we start out by bringing our awareness to current situations. A lot of the times we're on the fly of what's most needed in the moment because all this pre-planning, all this pre-agenda stuff is starting to like fall away. Um, we're delivering in real time live, addressing issues that are pertinent and real to the members. And we're elevating our consciousness as a group to hold that space, to increase that collective consciousness we are all in the mode of sharing, and to unite and feel that oneness. And as we do, it takes practice stepping out into it before you embody it in your office, amongst your team, in the business meeting. But as we start to normalize these things, we're making it okay to start a meeting with a soft pause that we all reconnect with ourselves, bring that highest part of ourselves forward, that we release any jarring or triggering or trauma or drama that doesn't belong in this meeting, that we become conscious of the field before us. And I bring simple exercises forward. Like
Okay.
it's really important in coaching. When I was really deep into coaching, and right now I only take on 5 clients, and they're high level clients. So they're going to pay up for the service, but they have me at their 100% access. And what I realize even in that arena is that everyone's at their own rate and pace. And when we realize that, we support them in it.
Mhm.
We don't direct them, it needs to look this way. We ask them. But I noticed in my coaching that it was really important that I activated different aspects of their intelligence to make certain that they could do that. And I think we do that when we bring a soft focus to a body scan, right? Noticing where there
Mhm.
might be tension in your body. Okay.
Mhm.
When you attempt to feel the ridges of your fingertip, you're taking touch to an entirely new level. And
Mhm.
all these little things start to activate the right hemisphere of the brain to give you full neural activity instead of just logic and reason, right? If you're just using the left hemisphere or your prefrontal cortex, you're not fully engaged. And
Mhm.
oftentimes in my coaching, I would do things that pause them so that the coaching was more productive because they were bringing all of their intelligence front and center to this moment. And it's important we do that in the board meeting, in the team meetings, right? That we are giving permission for what it looks like to call your energy home. Come back
Mhm.
fully energized, not leaking your power everywhere else. And we're becoming more conscious of this. So the winner's circle, I call it a leadership lab, and it's really for 5D consciousness. We're
Mhm.
elevating because it's important that the leaders have the capacity to speak to all states of consciousness.
Mhm.
They're going to have to speak to all states. They're going to have people who might still feel like a victim in their reality. And they're going to have people who are elevated ahead of them. And how do they speak to all of them? How do they engage all of them? If the leader isn't elevated, they'll lose the ability to speak to those at a higher level. And
Mhm.
there won't be tenure, right? That person won't be growing in that organization. So they'll leave specifically to provide themselves a capacity to grow.
Mhm.
Growth will be mandatory in the future, and we'll all be excited about it if we're on the journey.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just thinking back to my Gallup days, and I mean, we're going back to like 2008, and it was almost like taboo to bring
Mm,
up spirituality in the context of business.
yes.
And I'm not sure to what degree that still exists, but my question is for you, how is it like how do leaders that are on a particular team introduce the idea to the other people on the team about this type of approach as far as bringing spirituality in the business? Like how do you coach them to be able to essentially introduce this new way of being into the organization?
Yeah, so one way I do it is by subtly making certain that we're addressing a topic from different levels. And I bring in what's called the 4 W's. And I want, I wish, I worry, I wonder.
Mm,
And when you're talking about a topic and you're engaging over, let's just say we're going to talk about culture, and
okay.
they're meeting about culture change and what they're going to do to really implement um, a new culture within their organization. It's great to get the buy-in from everyone as to what they want to see, what they worry about in the process, whether I worry that if we don't act fast, we're going to lose more staff. Right? I worry that
Mhm.
if we aren't aligned in our approach, we're going to stumble and the impact's not going to be felt. Right? Like we need to hear all of these things, but the wonder is your imagination. Our
Mm,
imagination is one of our higher faculties of mind. And we haven't been utilizing it because we've been taught to remember what we've learned,
mm,
to
mm.
think everything
I
through.
think
And
yes.
all that's changing. We're becoming more embodied to where we have full access of all our resources, not just the mental aspect. And when the whole body, I have I have 2 grandkids, 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And they
Mm,
teach me every time, every week, they are my greatest teacher. But what they really teach me is what it looks like to model embodied listening. They don't have cognitive development yet. They're 2 and 4, but they have no problem at all understanding what Grandma Donalee said.
mm. And
Embodied
they're only
listening.
2 and 4.
And guess what? When you and I drop into our bodies and access our embodied listening, you'll watch, without the mind, without the mind. One
Mm.
of the
You
greatest
just
things
feel it.
is you feel it.
Yeah.
And if you
Hmm.
don't know how to discern the transition of feeling to what it means, sit there because your guides will show you. The words will
Mm,
just land for you when you ask for them. This is where ask and you shall receive is so miraculous because your
mm,
guides want you to evolve. They want you to know with clarity. They want you to discern that energy and what it means, right? And
hmm.
just get curious. Curiosity is your best friend. And
Mm.
we we take that with the ABCs, right? If you're in a funky spot, get curious, right? Curiosity will
It's
take you
interesting.
really far. Hmm.
Yeah, curiosity. I'm just thinking about that because it's like so many companies, people are scared to be curious because they're scared to put themselves out there, and it's easier to fit in than it is to stand out. And I
Yeah.
would suspect that being curious may lead somebody to standing out. And it takes courage. It takes a
It,
certain level of courage to be able to bring new ideas to the table out of fear of getting dismissed in whatever way. So
well,
yeah, I'm just
and
I'm just curious how you help leaders with that.
well, when we shift from me to we, it needs to be practiced. So we have breakout
Mm,
rooms. We talk about the shifts happening and we talk about our struggles in them because they're real and they're not struggles out of in complacence. They're struggles guiding your path, right? they're exactly what you need to see. So how can we use the struggle as the catalyst that helps us get aligned and incorporate more of a we mentality in what we're doing? And we do it by setting forth behavioral actions. You have to share this. You have to model it. Your peers are going to give you feedback, right? We're
Hmm.
and they're going to share with you if they felt your genuine authenticity or if they felt more control and direction from you, right? They're going to give you feedback whether you modeled that authenticity in a genuine way, whether we can trust you, whether we feel like we can trust you, right? And it's really powerful when we're in a group of peers and all growing together, how quickly we start to shift.
You've brought up this idea of trust a few times
Mm,
now, and I remember
mhm.
when I was at Gallup, we would always add on one question to the Q12, and that was, do I trust the leadership of my organization? And that one item was so revealing in
Yes.
terms of establishing the tonality of a culture. And we could
Yes.
feel it when we would go into an untrustworthy culture, we literally felt it.
Mm,
And when we went into a trustworthy culture, we literally felt it. So it's like trust is, I believe, at the core
yeah.
of business performance. Because without trust, people are not they're not bought in, they're not engaged, they're not psychologically and emotionally vested. So trust is such a critical element, and it seems like it's a big part of what you do.
Well, and thank you, Bo, for sharing that because if you pause for just a moment and reflect on our society as a whole across the globe, every single country has lost trust in their government. And we
Mhm.
as a people are losing faith and trust in our leaders. There's going to be more transparency coming out this year that's going to rock the entire globe.
Yep.
And it's going to affect our levels of trust. So, what leaders are up against now is collective mental instability amongst their people. And if they're not elevating themselves and coming into coherence and bringing in those nurturing energies in their organizations, the mental health of the people will affect the productivity, the culture, the attitude, the environment 100%. And I feel like business leaders today have to know this. They have to see this. Yeah.
We were talking about AI before we started this call, and we were saying that AI, I mean, it's not going away. So we can either use it for our good or we can use it for darkness as well. So it can be used in any way that we want. Yet by learning to use AI in a really productive way will strengthen us.
Yes.
If we compare that to the culture that we're looking at, or let's say two different cultures, one culture that is still operating strictly in a 3D limited capacity, and then compare that to an organization that has evolved and expanded into a trust-based 5D type of scenario. Can you describe to me each of those cultures?
Mm. Well, the 3D culture is still more masculine dominant and
Okay.
kind of like a my way or the highway, still thinking they got it all figured out, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't really want input from the rest of the organization. But as we shift into the we aspect that includes everyone, inclusion's part of it. Like we want feedback from everyone. We we have a need to incorporate their desires into what we're doing. And it really becomes a harmonious field of coherence where everyone's contribution is fully recognized and appreciated, respected, right? So much so that teams will really start to engage individually with other team members because of their strengths. Like,
Mm.
I had a bottleneck and I need your feedback. Do you have 5 or 10 minutes to let me process this through? Because I appreciate your, right, whatever their contribution or talent or gift of delivery is. And it's really going to elevate us as we start doing this because engagement elevates in the positive ways, right? Growing one another, growing yourself, elevating, right?
Yes.
And and then we also realize I don't have to have all the answers. I have to surround myself with a collective, with a community, and I have to start recognizing the gifts and talents in the community. And that's exactly where we're headed. Whether that community be the neighbors on your street, the citizens within your community, or the employees within your organization. These are the communities we're learning to evolve with and recognize the beautiful talent and contributions that each one of us brings. It's a
That's
field of
wonderful.
unity. Yeah. And I'm tell you what, when you go to work and you feel
Hmm.
supported, heard, recognized, appreciated, valued, wow, everything changes. You don't leak energy. You don't, right?
Mm.
Like you're more in alignment because they're supporting your alignment. They're recognizing you. They're validating you, right? It's real, it's recognized. And your voice matters. You start to trust yourself more. And that's where we're headed. I think we've trusted outside us for way too long. And
Hmm.
we're coming back to an inner trust, and it's being built every time you look at something on social media. Ask yourself, what does my inner guidance already know?
Mm.
Right? What's true for me
Yeah.
here? Well, they're not giving me all the facts. Move on. Why listen if you're not getting all the facts? If they're still hiding things and they're not transparent, they're not giving you the truth. And we feel that. I feel like our belief system meter or our BS meter is strengthening. We're recognizing the energy of others and whether it's an energy we want to align with or not.
You use this term inner trust. So it
Mm.
seems like the difference between operating in a 3D capacity versus a 5D capacity is that when we're operating in a 3D capacity, we have a tendency to look for the answers outside of ourselves. Whereas in a 5D reality, we have that inner trust so that
Yes.
we're able to go within ourselves and really feel the direction
Yeah.
that we're being guided. And so
That's a
that it seems
beautiful
like it's
recognition.
a good distinction between the two.
That is a beautiful distinction between the two. What it really takes us to is our sovereign nature, right? That
Mm-hmm.
we weren't fully engaged with all of our inner capacities, and we did look outside for things. We trusted outside leaders, we expected them to align. Everything shifts and changes. 3D is more about expectations, it's more about outside forces. And we haven't come home to that sovereign self, right? That we really are here to direct our lives. And it isn't about others. We bring that focus inward, but in bringing it inward, all that we bring to ourselves, if we fill ourselves up, we give from our overflow. It's effortless.
Mm-hmm.
It flows from us naturally. It isn't work. We become that being who can radiate from their sense of being, their sense of presence in this now moment. And it's felt. It's felt by others. When you walk in the room, others feel that energy in the room. And it's going to be recognized at such a new level that we're going to realize that's what I want. They got what I want. And we're going to want to get closer to feel it more, to figure out how to bring it in for us. And coherence is just this beautiful thing. I mean, it calms a baby's crying, right? So at an infant level, bringing that baby close, rocking them is bringing them into your coherence, sharing your field with them. So we're just learning how to come back to our natural instincts and nature.
It's wonderful. It reminds me of two different business models that we espoused when I was at Gallup. And the first one is really the traditional the top down hierarchy where the leaders are at the top and the frontline employees and the customers are at the bottom. And
Yeah.
it's really like a top down approach that is based on control and domination, and you do as I say.
Yes.
That seems to be more in line with a 3D type of business model.
Right.
Whereas when you take that same top down structure and flip it on its head, it becomes an inverted organization. And in that inverted nature, the leaders are at the bottom, supporting the organization above them, and the frontline employees and the customers are at the top. So just that opposite approach really can position organizations to grow in ways that they've never been able to in the past, because they're actually
Exactly.
empowering their people. They're giving people the permission to be able to really take responsibility for themselves and step into their own innate power and utilize their own gifts in ways that can contribute in a more productive way than if they were just in a top down structure that they're there just for the money and they're just like punching the clock to be able to get paid and then they go home. So it sounds as though that what you're really bringing forth is a model that is really empowering leaders in a new way, in ways that traditional business is not accustomed to. So I would say that you are definitely one of the pioneers of this type of business consulting that is so needed at this time. And I just believe that leaders are looking for answers, and they tend to go to the Vistages and the Gallups of the world. Yet people like you are bringing in a whole new level of consulting that is just so needed at this time. So I just want to commend you for that.
Thank you. I want to say that when we get to that higher level, it's as if we have, like when we, my favorite quote of all time was Viktor Frankl, who said, between the stimulus and the response, there lies a space. And in that space lies all your power. At the elevated 5D awareness, we we can actually see thought bubbles above us that we can choose from to become our response. And we see them from all different levels of ourself. I mean, if we take this a step further, they say now is the only time there is, and it includes the past, the present, and the future, right? Like this
Mhm.
now moment. And if all those fields of you actually exist in the 5D realm, you see them all existing and you choose the highest part to bring forth in this moment. And it's a beauty that takes thinking out of the picture. It is so natural and so innate in us. And we're just really here to align so that we can encompass more of what's available for us. And I don't know where it stops. I don't think it does. I think we just keep evolving to higher aspects.
It's the infinite unfolding of
Yeah.
ourselves.
Another thing we do in the winter circle is we increase our capacity to hold these higher dimensions because If we've come from a 3D realm and we're just used to holding a little bit of 3D, 4D, 5D energetics, we need to increase our capacity to bring in higher dimensions. And we ask
Mm,
our higher self, our soul, spirit, angelic realm, whoever your favorite guides and support seems to stem from, we
hmm
invite them in to guide that process and take us through higher fields of frequency so that we can start to feel and hold that space, increasing our
hmm
capacity to elevate on the fly. But the winner's circle is really a playground and a practice ground to meet with your peers, to elevate together, to see the exponential growth that happens when you come forth in community with the like-minded intentions. But it's not for everybody. The winner's
So the
circle,
winner circle,
yeah,
the people in the winner circle, they have a tendency to collaborate with one another. Like, do are relationship built within the circle to be able to support each other outside of the circle?
absolutely. And sometimes they make that connection after they've had a breakout room together with another individual. Um, it's having that ability to feel that frequency exchange with another. I feel it with you, you feel it with me, right? We
Hmm
resonate and we appreciate what the other brings, right? And when you start to appreciate that, yeah, they connect outside of the circle because they enjoy that frequency exchange that they're getting with one another.
hmm
It's elevating them. Yeah. I don't want to be the
And
brightest
I
light
would
in the
think
room.
at this time, because we both acknowledge that, we're probably still little bit ahead of the curve as far as this type of work because we're pioneers bringing this
Yes.
forth. And I'm just wondering, I lost my thought there for a moment. But I'm just wondering about, you know what, just skip it. I totally lost it. So please continue with what you were saying, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, so that's the winner's circle, and it's not for everybody. Not everybody's there yet, right? If you're still stuck in mental loops and upset that Sally Sue comes in 30 minutes late and it sends you off on a kilter because you see her walking in late and she still hasn't, you're not ready for the winner's circle yet. But that's where I would recommend my book to start honing
Mm,
you into spotting your value, to seeing your triggers, to recognizing those parts in you, because the book goes into shadow work. It goes into, your self-talk, self-care. And we're really here to be self-aware and to self-regulate in the moment.
You also have
So
a free ebook that people can download. What's that all about?
So that's the beautiful next step. Really, if you pretty much know yourself and you've done some shadow work and you kind of want to just get your feet wet on energy and energetics, my ebook is called The Energetic Edge. It's how next level leaders will lead. And it is
Mm,
with that energetic presence. So it's a soft introduction to the energetic edge and what that would mean for you as a leader, showing you what it shifts, how it shifts, and the next step from that, if you're still engaged and it resonates, is a self-study course to walk
mm.
through the energetic edge, to really start to embody it. And from there, I would invite someone into the winner's circle. But
So
I've
it
also,
sounds as though it's like four levels. Like people can start
mm,
with your book, bringing spirituality into business, and then they can
yeah,
download the ebook and go through that. And then from there, they can go through the self-study course, and then from there, they can graduate into the winner circle. Is that a natural progression?
beautiful. It's spot on. It's spot
Nice.
on. And I feel like once the leaders are in the winner circle, they see the value of the material, and that's when they want to bring me into their office for a lunch and learn for the employees to help them achieve greater self-regulation. Because most people say stress comes from my job, but it actually
Mm.
comes from us. That in the 3D experience, we have three superpowers. One's our ability to be aware, to step into that observer self, right? To observe ourselves.
Hmm.
And the second power we have is the ability to assign meaning. This is where we generally mess up, assigning the wrong meaning. And how do we know? By how we feel. If it brought peace, it's the right meaning. If it still brings dissonance, division, separation, it's probably not the right meaning.
Hmm.
But we're here to create. So whenever you feel that ick, ask yourself what you would love because we're creators in this realm. We're here to have free will, to give that forward, to let it be what we're creating, to align our path and keep us moving forward. But each and every one of us gets caught up in assigning meaning until we realize that's not where it lies. In the next levels, you get to increase your perceptions, holding other people's perceptions in your awareness without an attachment to one or another. You get to experience neutral, what it means to maintain neutral, how freeing neutral is, right? And I get it, leaders, you're making decisions. You still make decisions, but you make them from such a point of clarity and calm instead of stress. And I have to. And
Hmm.
everything starts to shift and change. The changes are soft, they're subtle, but if you're going through them, you recognize them and you appreciate them. And they're so worthy of staying where you're at to keep elevating because you don't want to go back to that bantering of back and forth struggle. Ease is
Hmm.
what really lands. I feel like back in the 90s, the state of flow was a big thing, right? Can I achieve the state of flow where time seems to escape you, but you're so engrossed in what you're doing, you accomplish more in 1 hour than you could have normally done in four. Like you're
Hmm.
just in the groove. Runners experience it. I used to call it my second wind, where I would just get this energetic, like everything fell into alignment. My arms, my legs, my breathing were all in sync. And I was like a finely tuned machine moving through the streets effortlessly. To me, that was the runner's high. That's what I
Hmm.
ran for, right? To get to that point. And that's a state of flow. It's a state of inner alignment. It's a state of coherence. And that's what comes online for us. It's
That's
beautiful.
wonderful. It is.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Do most people that begin to work with you, do they go through the process, such as like reading the books and doing the self study, then becoming part of the winner circle? Do they tend to do that individually before they introduce it to the company, or are they more inclined to just bring someone like you in from the start and begin to work with the whole team at once?
That's a great question. And I'm going to be real honest. I don't invite organizations to bring the material in until their leadership team has been engaged in personal growth and development, and I can see what their aim is.
Hmm.
Because as you shared earlier, it is a top-down approach still. And if the leadership team isn't on board with the growth, my presentation was just entertainment.
Hmm.
Because no matter how hard that individual starts to do the inner work, and it doesn't mean they can't shift out of stress and start reassigning the meaning to those moments that they get triggered or feel the pressure, right? So they
Hmm.
can shift that. But is the organization really encouraging inclusion, having their voice heard? Do they feel the ability to stand tall and speak up? and share what they have to say? Or is that still criticized? Because those energies are real. The employees feel them. And many employees don't want to speak up because of retaliation for sharing what they
Mm.
shared. So I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot of dynamics here. So I don't encourage organizations. I tell them, I'll do it, but I'm going to be really honest with you. It's entertainment until you bring the leadership team in.
Have you experienced a situation where, let's say, there was a team of five executives, and three of them were on board and two of them were apprehensive? Like, how have you experienced a situation like that where only partial, you had like partial commitment, and yet at the same time you also had resistance to what you were doing?
Yes, very much so. And I feel like that's natural because you have a mix of personalities. When
Hmm.
we experience that, I soften the blow by um, getting each one of. I feel like they're always the C-suite team, right? So you got the CEO, you
Hmm.
got the CFO, the CHRO. So all of these different individuals are unique in their role, right?
Hmm.
But let's get clear on what your model of leadership is. Some of us are visionaries. Some of us are catalysts. Some of us are healers and helpers. Some of us are builders. Some of us are bridgers. And I have a little questionnaire where we can answer a few questions and kind of get clear on our role because it's important for them to be seen and recognized first before they can ever buy in, right? Like there's something blocking them, but until they can ground and start to see themselves more clearly, they notice the energy's there, but they're meeting it with resistance.
Hmm.
And what we resist persists. So I just start at a different level with them. And oftentimes, what's required is a few group sessions of growth calls together with the team. I've never gone over five. Some get it in one or two. Generally speaking, it's three or four.
Three or four calls. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, which goes over a couple months. So
I
it
got you.
takes, yeah, it takes time. But basically what's happening is we're raising awareness at a basic elementary level for all and allowing people to see those energies that are showing up and to allow them instead of resist them. Get curious about
Hmm.
them because it's really that reframing of how we assign meaning to things. We love to be in our head about things, right? And until we can
Hmm.
realize we've done that and that the meaning may not be correct, we can't really elevate and grow. So it's really about listening to our body and starting to introduce the energetics, the somatics of really aligning with, oh, I feel tension and tightness. Like I came to this meeting, I feel it. Well, how can we start to soften that? Let's walk through a little meditation and see if you can just start to relax and connect with your body. And it takes us self regulating and mastering what self regulation is internally for us because he's bringing that same tension to every meeting they have and they'll own it. Once they're able to see it and feel it and move it, now they want more of it.
Hmm.
What every human wants is more power and control. Right? When you realize you have the power to summon, govern, attract, and control your energetic field, that's huge. We
Hmm.
want more of that. So I think presenting it in a way that softens, not makes wrong what they're doing is basically my approach to help them see more clearly through that being a protection mechanism versus an answer to something.
That's wonderful. It reminded me when you said listen to your body.
Mm.
I'm curious how you'll respond to this. Like, to me, I'm seeing that in the 3D world, we're taught that self-care is selfishness.
Mm,
That whereas in the 5D world, self-care is like our number one priority. So
yeah.
I'm curious to get your feedback as far as the differences and the changes that you see in people as it relates to self-care as they progress on this journey that you're talking about.
I do feel like everything you just said is accurate. And I do think that I was brought up in an era where if you thought about yourself, you were selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And I also realized that the self-care I was taught wasn't self-care, it was sabotage. If I was
Mm-hmm.
dieting and I did something good and I needed to give myself some care, self-care, it was eating bonbons and putting my feet up with Lifetime, like inactivity and junk food. Like that's sabotage. That's not support. That's not
Mm-hmm.
self-care. And people treat themselves with ice cream and pizza as self-care. I deserve a
Mm-hmm.
reward. And that's not self-care. Self-care is the way you talk to yourself. It's the way you support yourself with your decisions, that this is in alignment with my goals, that I'm going to put on some soothing music and realign and take a bubble bath and relax and give myself 10 minutes of peace and quiet to collect my thoughts. That's self-care,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
When you go to a yoga class, that's self-care. Self-care is aligning you and all of your multidimensional aspects into a harmonious field. That's self-care.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Wonderful.
strengthening your ability to self-regulate in the now moment. And the conversations we need to normalize are, yeah, how do you realign if you're on your way to a meeting and you just got triggered by something someone said? How do you quickly realign in the moment?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start to normalize growth conversations, empowerment conversations, and really start to share these frequencies that others are holding as potential, possible for us because they are.
Wow. Well, we've certainly covered a lot in this conversation. I really appreciate all that you've said and all that you've shared because it totally aligns with the direction that I'm seeing the world taking. So I'm in full support of you and your work. And
Thank you.
is there anything else you want to add that you think
Well,
we haven't touched on yet?
I would just say to anybody who's still listening that if this conversation sparked a sense of recognition or resonance in you, a feeling that your leadership is meant to feel more fluid, to be more impactful and more true, then I offer this. May that feeling be your compass
Mm,
and
wonderful.
trust. Yeah, and trust that that's part of your energetic edge. Follow it. That when you're ready to answer the call, when you're ready to step in both feet with a full commitment, know that the circle of conscious leadership invites you and welcomes you. It awaits your presence. We're here, we're in the lab, we're ready to listen and learn and evolve alongside you. That your journey, our journey, is to coherent leadership. And it's a journey we're meant to take together. That when we're ready, no rush, it's all free will.
There's a saying that goes when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and you've appeared. So
I
now it's
love it.
just a matter of finding the students that are ready, and
I love it.
hopefully this is what we're doing is going to be able to help encourage others to be able to learn about the work that you do because what you're doing is so needed at this time. So I just
Beautiful.
invite everyone to go check out Donalee's profile on our website newearthcivilization.com, And on her profile, you can read her biography. She has a welcome to her world and a lot of great information on there. So we welcome you to check it out. And then at towards the bottom of the profile, it lists all of her different services that are in the New Earth store. And yeah, whatever she can do to help you and your organization, that's why she's here. And it's really wonderful what you're doing. And I just again want to commend you and just encourage you to stick with it, because I know that we're still at the forefront of all this type of work, and these types of conversations have not been normalized yet. There's
Right.
a lot of other types of conversations that have been normalized that we want to unnormalize and get conversations like this going, because this is the direction that the New Earth is taking, and being part of a New Earth civilization is a choice. I mean, it's literally a modern day Noah's Ark.
Mm.
There's a storm that we're currently in, and the water is just going to keep getting deeper, and people have a choice to make, to either get on the boat or drown. So yeah, that's just a very simple way to kind of put a stamp on the conversation that we had today. So thank you again, Donalee. I really appreciate your time, and certainly wish you the best. And I'm here to support you however I can. So thank you.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having this conversation, but two, for stepping out boldly to provide this umbrella of the New Earth
Mm,
civilization for all of us. And this group is holding a consciousness of all of its leaders, and that anybody who enters into the New Earth civilization for themselves to explore, to engage, you too will feel the energetic support, the collective energy of all its leaders.
mm,
So I want to really emphasize that community is calling us. And until we can be in that community and feel that collective energetics, the coherence that's formed in a collective consciousness, we haven't really experienced all we're here to experience going forward. You'll be empowered just from being part of the group.
mm. Love that. Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Great. Bye bye.